Hi, welcome to the Google Forms section on branching questions. Firstly, what are branching questions? Well, they're quite simply, as you might have worked out, questions which take you to different sections or different questions based on the answer that's given. Why do we need to use branching questions, or why do such a things exist? I think from a teaching, learning, and assessment point of view, we can start to look at the idea of differentiation in our digital assessment. I'm thinking potentially with mixed groups, so functional skills, maths and English springs to mind immediately there. Possibly the course that you're teaching on has different levels of grade, so pass, merit, distinction. Or even if you start to think about it in a sort of more innovative way, you can perhaps create a single assessment form, a single assessment quiz that covers different topics. Trying to save you some time on this. This is perhaps quite a complicated thing for first time round. So I'm going to go through the steps of how to create branching questions. I've actually had to write this down because doing it off the top of my head like that would probably not work very well. So going to create them and just sort of show you how they work. So the first thing that you do, as you do with anything, is open up a new form. And once that's loaded, you go through the same process as you would with any other quiz or any other form that you wish to create. So give it a name. Short description if you want to do this. And finally, before we go any further, up to settings, quizzes, make this a quiz, and we can save there. Okay, so far so similar. What we need to do now in our first question, this is where we can start putting our splits in if we're thinking of one form for different levels. For example, in functional skills English, that's the form that I'm going to create. So the first question, you need to get the learners to put some information in that will then begin to start the branching. So quite simply, we then create our options. So entry level, level 1, level 2. In a normal quiz now, we'd assign a correct answer and a value. We're not doing that because we need this to be the starting point. So what we are going to do is work out and show the form what we need to do when an answer is put in. So to do this, we go to the 3 dots next to required and click on go to section based on answer. This then brings out drop-down menus, and we can now point these questions to specific sections. So before we do that, we need to create the sections that we want to add. Using the question bar here, the last icon there, which is looks like an equal sign, is add section. So if we click on there, we get an untitled section. So if we name this entry level quiz, add a description, so you're showing the learner what the quiz is going to be about. From here, what you would do is add your questions in the same way. So if we could put in a question here, and just sort out there. So we've got the question we've got there, and you would do the adding as normal. So answer key, award a point value. Make sure you could select the correct answer. You can add feedback if you want. This isn't the point of this video. So, and then add another question, and you would carry on like this until you had your questions set. Once this is finished, you can then add your next section. So level 1 quiz, again a description in there, and then set your questions as normal. So firstly, and the other one. But so the more astute among you, the more observant among you would have seen that I hadn't assigned a point value there. So you can just go back in and do it, and then add a question. Okay, so we're doing the sections as you would, creating the sections for each topic, each branch that you need, and then just creating those series of questions as you would normally. The important thing after each section, if you're doing it to differentiate, to do it to sort of split between levels or gradings or topics, what you need to do after each of your question sections, there's an option here after section 2 and a drop down. What you need to do is submit the form. What that will do then is once the learner has completed that series of questions, it will then give them the score. So the idea is that entry-level learners would only do the entry-level questions if that's what they wanted to do. However, you have got some stretch and challenge in there because all the levels are open to all the learners. So if someone is feeling particularly confident in a section and they wish to try the next level up or even the level beyond that, they're more than welcome to it. Because you set it in the opening section here, they can choose whatever they need to do and they will get the feedback and everything else that you've put in there. So if we just finish off and do level 2, just to make sure it's all sorted. And also the good thing about this is you can differentiate the type of question that you need as well. So for our level 2 learners, for example, what we might wish to do is rather than asking a series of multiple choice or true-false questions, we might wish to set them something a little more complex, a little more involved, which would be a question here to you can then set them something that's got a bit more involvement, something that they can sort of go to town on and show, demonstrate what they've got Again, this would be open to people in lower levels as well, if you wanted them to do that as the stretch and challenge. From the different types of questions, you'll remember that paragraphs you cannot really set to auto mark. This is something that you would have to go through and mark yourselves. However, if you've set questions that can auto mark for the different other sections that you've created, then you're reducing the amount of work that you have to do. If we just add a additional question to the end of that, we should now have enough to show what happens when we've gone through. So after section 2, after section 3, we don't want to continue. We want to submit because that's a separate level. And then so if we go to preview, and here, this will be available to everybody. So what level are you working at? If we choose entry 3, hopefully click on next, we get the entry level questions come up for us. There we go, which it is because we've named it, we've got the description, and we've got the quiz there. And submit is showing as the option once it's been completed. Level 1, and next. Again, we've got the level 1 things, but because I didn't proofread it, I haven't changed the name of the section yet. So again, previewing, it's always good just to check, just to proofread and see what learners would see, and make sure that everything is as it needs to be before you actually publish it. So what we've looked at in this section is branching questions. We've discussed what they are. We've made some suggestions of how you might like to use them. And then the main part of the video was how you set a branching question quiz up. Have a go through it. There will be an assessment for you to answer some questions on this at the end. And don't forget to add your thoughts, add your opinions, your comments, how you might use it on the teams once you've gone through this and are a bit more confident with working with branching questions. Thank you.